Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. All right, let me get back to here. All right, so my name is Emma McDonald. I am with Mesquite ISD Library Services, and I am a certified G Suite for Education trainer. And I don't know, just because I'm a little weird, I've kind of gotten into Google Sheets, especially into formulas. There are things that that I discovered that you could do in Google Sheets that are really interesting and that are helpful with manipulating data and also with badging and doing gamified instruction. And that's kind of a passion of mine. And so it got me into Google Sheets. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm teaching this class, is because it's kind of become one of the areas that I know fairly well. I'm not going to say I know everything, because I don't think anybody ever knows everything when it comes to Google, especially when they like to change things on you. So like in the morning, I can present something, and by mid-afternoon, there's 3 new things that were not there in the morning. And so that's always fun. And I think you just have to have some flexibility and be ready to just kind of roll with it as they do that. So my information is here on this main screen, my email. And if you'd like to follow me on Twitter, we also have a Library Services YouTube channel, just like our Instructional Tech has a great YouTube channel as well, with lots of very helpful videos on it. And so today we're going to take a look at Google Sheets, and the agenda is linked in the Google Calendar invite. But if you did not get that or don't have it easily available, you can use this shortened link to access the agenda for our Google Sheets. And I'm just going to go over it really briefly, and then we're going to dive right in. So do I need to go back and show that link again, that bit.ly link again? I have it also here. Let's make sure I have the correct. Nope, I changed it up. Sheets Agenda 420. Hang on just a second and let me change this. Bit.ly. What did I call it? Oh, no, that's for the agenda. Okay, I apologize. Yes. So on the agenda, you'll see a link to support. That very top link is to a sample sheet for our class. We're going to use this. It's going to force you to make a copy. So go ahead and do that. And then you'll be able to type, play around, explore on that copy, and it's not going to disrupt anything else. But it'll give you something to look at, something to go back and see, to remind yourself later on. You'll see a link to the Google support, and then you'll also see a link to training and cheat sheets. And this is really helpful. The Google training and cheat sheets offer a lot of how-tos. They'll go through some of the specifics, some of the basics, and then move forward after that. So those are a very helpful resource for you. Today, we're going to start with spreadsheet basics. And since I don't know where everybody is in terms of what you know about a spreadsheet, we'll probably go pretty quickly through that. But we're going to talk about what's a worksheet versus a sheet, cells, rows, columns, formula boxes. We're going to look at text alignment, viewing, moving rows and columns, inserting rows and columns. And then we're going to move into the basics of manipulating data within the sheets. We're going to look at sorting, filtering, conditional formatting. We're going to look at how to insert pictures and checkboxes. And then we're going to look at how you can use some of the different data features in Google Sheets as well. And then we're going to finish out, if we have time, working with formulas. We're going to look at some basics, and we're going to look at the formula box and some of the help that it can offer you. So if you look at and think about formulas and go, no, don't freak out. Google actually offers a lot of great help with formulas. And we're going to look at some of the basic functions that you will find useful as a teacher. So summing things, averaging, counting. I'm going to show you a really cool formula for something called a Sparkline that I think you will absolutely adore. And then we're going to look at some troubleshooting. So that's just a brief overview of what we're going to be looking at today. So we're going to start by, if you will go ahead and open up that sample sheet. And we're going to start by taking a look at and talking about the basics. So first of all, what is a worksheet versus a sheet? And let me move that up. So a worksheet, when someone talks to you about a worksheet, they're talking about the entire document. Okay, so the Google Sheet document is the worksheet. So Google Sheets demo and practice is the worksheet that we're in today. You can add additional sheets to your worksheet down at the bottom. And so you'll see there are 3 tabs. Each one of these tabs is its own sheet. Okay, so that's the difference between the worksheet is the whole document with however many sheets you've added, and each sheet is the tabs at the bottom, right? So when creating a worksheet, you would start in your Drive. That's the best place to go to start. I don't know about you, but for me, I like to make sure that I start inside the folder where I want it to be organized. So it's super easy just to create a new sheet, and then move forward. But then where is that? Where did the sheet go? And so I always encourage people to start out by thinking about where do you want that sheet. So for example, if I'm doing a sheet of badges, I might go into my badges folder and then click New Sheets and create a new sheet within my badges folder. When I do that, then my sheet will already be organized where I want it. So that's the first step, is to make sure that you create your sheet where you want it organized. Okay, once you've done that, the very first thing you want to do, obviously, basics, is to name it. Now, let's say that you want to add another sheet to your worksheet. The way you do that is you click the plus sign at the bottom left. Now, you'll notice that I'm currently in this data manipulation. When I click the plus sign, it's going to create a sheet directly after the one that I was originally on. I can click and hold and drag that sheet somewhere else. So if I don't want it second, let's say I wanted it first, then I can click and drag and move it to a new location. I can also rename that sheet by clicking on this small arrow. In fact, when I click on that small arrow, you'll see there are a lot of different options. I can delete it. I can duplicate it. This is really good if you have some basics, like a template of information that you want, but you just want to change a few things. You can duplicate the sheet. It'll put all the same data, cells, everything. It'll make it look exactly the same. All the sizes of everything will be exactly the same, but it'll be on a new sheet. And so then you can just change the few things you need to. You can copy this information to a brand new spreadsheet. So if you're wanting to move it somewhere else or to an existing spreadsheet, you can do that as well. And then here's our rename. You can also change the color of it too. And you can hide it and protect it. So there are lots of different options, but to rename it, click on the little arrow, choose rename, and then we'll just call this test or testing, right? And that's how you rename a sheet. The next thing is thinking about if you have an Excel worksheet. So you're on your desktop and you've been using Excel this whole time, and you want to turn an Excel worksheet into a Google Sheet. The easiest way to do that is to click on New, click File Upload, and then when your computer opens up, you're going to go search for, and I'm sure I have one in here, you're going to search for an Excel spreadsheet and click Open. Now, when you do that, it should automatically convert it into a Google Sheet. However, if it doesn't, if it keeps it as an Excel, then you need to go into your settings in Google Drive. And you want to make sure that Convert Uploads is checked. When this box is checked, any Word document, Excel document, PowerPoint, when you upload those, they will convert them automatically to a Google Doc. A couple things about that is that once it's a Google Doc type file, then you can do all of the same editing features and do everything that you would if you had created that as a Google Sheet. But then if you need it to be Excel later, you can always download it as an Excel. So you haven't lost that Excel file. You can still download that if you want to. Here, we would just click on download and it's gonna see it says converting it to Excel. So that's how you would convert an Excel into a Google Sheets, is just upload it into your Drive and it should automatically convert it. All right, so now we're in our sheet. We've named it, we've created it. And so let's take a look at the elements of our sheet. The first thing is the cell. So each one of these little boxes is a cell. And it's just like a grid, any kind of grid. You have columns that go up and down and rows that go across. All of your columns are labeled by letters and all of your rows are labeled by numbers. And I apologize if this is really basic, but I get that there may be some people who don't even really work with spreadsheets. And so I'm trying to cover all of the bases so that no one is confused. So bear with me, I'll get through this pretty quickly. So when you're looking at a particular cell, and this is really important when we get to the formulas, every cell has a name. So for example, the cell that I'm currently in, the name of it is D2. The cell next to that is C2. If I come down here, this one is F8. And the nice thing about Google Sheets is that when you click in a cell, you'll notice the column will be slightly darker in where the letter is, and the row number will be slightly darker. So it helps your eyes to kind of easily identify what's the name of that cell. Okay. Now, the formula box is this box right here. And really it's called a formula box, but that's where you're going to type in your information. So I don't want to type it in where I already have. Here I'm in K1. And if I click inside the formula box, I can type, any text or numbers or date or anything that I want into that. But really it's considered and called the formula box because that's where you'll also do formulas. Now we also have the magic box, which is right here. I hope you can see this where my hand and cursor are. It's underneath that FX and below the one, above the one and to the left of A. This is what we consider the magic box. That's what we call it, the magic box. Because when you click on it, it selects everything. But not only does it select everything, when I have clicked on the magic box, I can make all of my columns and rows the exact same size if I want. So for example, if I wanted to make all of my rows the same size, I would move my mouse in between column A and B until you see that little black arrow. And then I'm going to click and hold and drag it across and then let go. And now you see all of my columns are exactly the same size. I can do the same thing with my rows. So again, I move my mouse between the 1 and the 2 until I see that black arrow, click and hold, drag it down, and now all of my cells are the same height. So I have the same height as the rows, the same width for the columns. And so that is when somebody says click on the magic box, that's what they're talking about, this little section here. And obviously this is wonderful to click and then copy, and then you can paste it wherever you want and get everything. Okay. So another thing that you can do in Sheets that's useful, and let's see, I'm going to go back and resize this again so that it's not quite so spread out. So let's say that I have some information and I want to copy it down the page. So let's say that I am, everybody in this roster is in, let's say, 7th grade. Okay? And I want 7th grade to go all the way down, but I don't want to have to type it. The fastest, easiest way to copy all the way down the row is to type in the information that you want, and then you'll see, because I've selected this cell, at the bottom right is this little blue box. If I click and drag that blue box down, it's going to put 7th grade all the way down that column. Okay, so that's one way that we can copy information down. However, another thing that can happen is, let's say that I want all of my students numbered. And so I've got number 1 for the first student. If I click and drag it down, oh, that's not actually what I was hoping would happen. Let's see. It works better with a date. So let's say I have a date here.
Hey, Emma, question was, okay, so you use the magic box and you got them all to be in the same width and height.
Yes.
Let's say you did that and you're like, dang it, I didn't mean to do that. Can you press the undo button and make it go back?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but you have to get out of it and then press the undo button.
Okay.
Okay. So let's see. I'm going to keep pressing undo, and there are my ones that I did not mean to do. And now I'm going to click the undo button and undo it until it's gone. Okay. Oftentimes when you have numbers, and this also works for formulas, and then you drag the information down, it's going to change that formula so that, and in fact, I'll show it to you later on in particular, but it's going to change the formula so that, let's see, if I say equals G2. So basically, oh, that's not useful. Let's try a different one. Equals F2. Okay. So I just put a formula in that basically says whatever's in F2, I want you to show up here. But I want F3 to show up in the next box, and then F4 to show up in the next box. And so the nice thing about this copy down is that's exactly what it'll do. So it will change the number. If you'll notice up here in the formula box, you'll see that now it's F3. If I click on the next one, it's F4, then F5. So it will, if you have a formula, it will copy things down in such a way that you can get each item from that row that you were wanting. And so you don't have to go in and type equals F2, equals F3, equals F4. You would just type your formula and drag it down.
Hey, Emma, isn't it like, if we wanted to number them, can't we do like, you put 1 on like H2 and then 2 on H3, and then when you grab that little square and keep going down, it'll go ahead and number it 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6?
Yes.
Am I remembering that correct?
Yes, you are. You are remembering that correct. Thank you.
So you have, but you have to do like more, you just have to do more than 1.
It's
like,
not.
Highlight 1 and 2. Highlight 1 and now drag it down.
There we go. Thank you, Jenna. Yes.
Hey, that is one. Y'all just, when y'all are going to bed tonight, just thank the Lord that I remembered one thing about you. I got 1.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So another way that you can do that besides copying down, let's get rid of that 7th grade, is, so again, I've typed in what I want, is I can click on this top box, scroll down, hit the shift, hold the shift key, and then hit the bottom of where I want everything copied. So basically I'm selecting everything, right? And then if I hit on a PC, it will be Control, but on a Mac, it will be Command D, and it's going to copy everything down for me. So that's another way that you can copy things down a row. Especially if there's a, let's say there's a formula that you want it to stay the same. So for example, I want equals F2. I want this 88 all the way down. I don't want it just in this first column. This shift and hold to the bottom and then Command D. Oh, it didn't work. No, it's supposed to do it. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and remind myself, but it's supposed to keep it so that when you use the Command D, it will actually keep the same formula all the way down the row so that it doesn't switch out each number. So we'll look at that again. Okay, the next thing is text alignment. So one of the biggest complaints of teachers with Google Sheets is you can't make the text go up and down. So a lot of people had sheets where, they have a bunch of assignments, but they want the header to go up and down, not side to side. So I'm going to show you, Google has updated that. If you are not aware, you can click on your first row, and in your toolbar here at the top, one of the options is text rotation. So you can rotate your text so it's just tilted up a little bit, or so that it goes straight up or straight down. I mean, whatever it is that you like the best, you can choose that. Okay, so that's one thing with that it does now do, which is a really nice feature. And then you don't have to select the entire row either. So let's say that I only want my assignments to be up and down. I can click on those and just have those aligned so that they are vertical instead of horizontal. Okay. Any questions other than the ones that we've had so far? I only have 2 more things to talk about with basics, and then we'll move on into manipulating data.
Nothing here, but you've already blown my mind a couple of times with just basics, just so you know.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll keep going then. Also, Jenna, if anybody notices, or if you notice that people are, that I'm going a little fast and I need to slow down, just pop on and let me know, and I will slow down. Sometimes I get super excited and I tend to go a little fast. So
I think your pace is fine right now. Nobody said anything.
Perfect.
Emma?
Yeah.
Emma? I'm Amy from McDonald. Can I just ask one question about the basics?
Sure, Amy.
Okay, I understood that you selected the settings gear tab for making sure your documents were uploaded in the correct form.
Yes.
Can you show me how you got that Excel worksheet? How did you do that?
Oh, sure. I sure can. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I need that again, please.
Sure. Okay. So when you're in Drive, you click New, and then File Upload.
Okay, got it.
Right?
Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. Alternatively, if it is saved, say, on your desktop somewhere, you can click and drag it in.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. All right. So next, let's take a look at freezing rows and columns, and then talk about reasons why you might want to do that. So to freeze a row or column, that's in View, which is a little different from Excel. So if you're familiar with Excel and you're like, where is it? It's not a tool. It's under View. So you go to View and Freeze, and you actually don't have to select anything. You can, but you don't have to. It will automatically allow you to freeze the first row, the second row, the first column, the second column. So just as an example, I'm going to freeze the first row. And when I do that, as I'm scrolling down, looking at student information, I can still see my headers. I don't know if anybody's ever been frustrated by that before, where you had a big spreadsheet, you have lots of kids, lots of data, and as you scroll down, you've forgotten which one was, what was what in your headers. And so to hang on to those, you simply freeze that first row in View.
Hey, Emma, do you know how to do you know the shortcut to that?
I don't use it. Why don't you go ahead and tell it?
So click over there by the magic box, or click on your magic box, okay. So do you see on the columns how the line is thicker on the magic box on that right side?
This
on
one
your,
right here?
on your columns, not your rows. Yeah,
my-
right. Yeah,
right
right there.
here?
Make the hand go. Now pull it over.
To the right?
And then drop it. And now you've frozen that first column.
Oh, nice.
That's one of the only things I know about it, because it makes my life so much easier when I'm going through things. But yeah, that's
That is fabulous. Thank you, Jenna. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I never use that. I always click on view and go the long route.
I used to get frustrated on view because, like, if I needed the first 5, then it's a longer process than just clicking and dragging. So
Right. Well, so that's what I was going to show next is you can actually say go up to row 8, and then you go to view and freeze up to your current row. Oh, wait, except I'm not on that row, am I? So if I go to row 8, and then view freeze up to current row 8. But that clicking and dragging is much faster. I love that. Awesome. Whoops. That was not happy with me on that. Oh, because I hid my row. That's why. Come on. Okay, I'm going to undo and get out of that. There we go. So freezing your first row, freezing your first column allows you to continue to see those headers as you are scrolling through and looking at data. Okay, next thing is moving rows. So let's say that I inserted assignment 3, but actually I want it to show before assignment 1. I can select the row, click and hold, and then drag it to the location where I want and let go. And I've moved my column. Okay, so that's really handy if you accidentally put something in a location, you're like, oh, no, that's not, I don't want the Sparkline over there. I want it in front of everything else. So you can very easily, I don't want to move it that far, very easily move things around in your columns. Okay. Rows work the same way. You can move those by clicking and dragging those as well. You'll notice when I do move it that there's that thick line, similar to what Jenna was talking about with the shortcut for freezing, for viewing. That thick line shows you where that row is going to end up. Okay. All right, and now I'm going to undo because I want that back where it was. All right, now inserting a row or a column, same thing. This doesn't take too much, but you just right click on your column. And I'm sure those of you who are in here have been in other sessions with instructional text, so they've probably told you this trick, but I'm going to say it just in case. And for anybody who's watching who doesn't know, if you're on a Chromebook or a MacBook, if you take your fingers and hold them like a V and then click on your touchpad, it will do the right click for you. So you just put your fingers as a V, tap, press down on your mouse pad, and it will do the right click. And from here, again, a set of options show up. So you can insert a column to the left, to the right, delete a column, clear a column, hide it, resize it, okay? And actually, this moves into our manipulating data. You can also, this is also how you sort the sheet. So let's say I want to sort my sheet based on my class. So I have 5B, 5A, and 5C, and I want them all together. So I'm going to right click on my first column, and then I'm going to sort them. In this instance, I want to sort them A to Z. Now in Excel, it will ask you, do you want to expand your selection? But Google just assumes that you want all your data to be sorted along with when you do that sorting. So that's something that it's an extra step that you don't have to do in Google Sheets, that you do have to do typically in Excel. And so that is sorting. Now let's say I want to filter my data. And so let's say I want to filter and I only want to look at class 5C. Those are the only students I want to look at. So I'm going to click on my magic box. And then I'm going to choose the filter icon in my toolbar. So it's next to, you have a link, the chart, and then you'll see it looks like a funnel, your filter. When you click on that filter icon, you will see these little green arrows at the top of in row 1. To filter, simply click on that little green arrow, and then you'll scroll down and you'll see all of your options. You can clear everything and then just choose the option that you want to look at and click OK. This works great if you're a secondary teacher and you have lots of different class periods of data all in the single sheet. You can then sort it that way or filter it that way. Additionally, let's say I want to filter it so that, no, let's see, I want to see everybody select all. Okay. All right, so now I see everybody again. I only want to look at students who failed assignment 3. So I can filter, clear everything, and then go down and just choose my failing grades. Now there is an easier way I'm going to show you later, but this is just an example of filtering. And now I can see, now I'm seeing just those students who did not do well in assignment 3. And I can look, you know, to see if there's any patterns there as well. Okay, so that's sorting. Ooh, I just cleared everything instead of selecting everything. So that is sorting and filtering. Any questions about sorting and filtering before we move on to an even easier way to see how students are doing if we're looking at data, grades?
Okay. Yeah, we've got one question just came in. It said, is it easy to import this from Skyward, like the names and the class period? And the answer to that is yes, Jim. But the issue that we would have is that we don't have any classes in Skyward, and we don't have dummy accounts, so there's no way for us to show you. But I'm sure your instructional tech coach probably knows someone in the building who can show you that because they have the information to show you.
Right. And so in Skyward, you should be able to run a report and export that information with students. And I think you can export also not just their names, but the grades, everything that's in there. Yeah. And then it will, when it exports it, it will export as an Excel file. And so then you just click and drag that Excel file, put it into your drive, and it should convert it into the sheet as long as you have that setting checked in your Google Drive. That's a great question.
And then here's my question for you. When you were showing the filter, that's not the filter view, that's the actual filter. So you're actually changing the data in, or what can be seen in the data. So for example, if this Google Sheets demo and practice, if it was mine, yours, and Selena's, and you did that filter view, we would see the filter that you're showing us instead of doing like a filter view where it doesn't mess with everybody else's. Is that correct?
No, this is still a filter view.
Okay, all right. Is that because you clicked on the magic box? Is that why? That's the importance of the magic box, right?
That it selected everything.
Okay, because we had an issue at one of the schools where they were not doing a filter view, they were just filtering, and so it was messing people up because they were as somebody was implementing something, they changed it, and so it messed up everything. It was messing things up, and so I didn't know for sure whether you were showing us an actual filter or if this was like a filter view where it will only filter for you, whereas.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So a filter view, that's what you're talking about here, right? In the data?
Yeah. I didn't know because you clicked on the magic box if it made it a filter view for you rather than just a filter.
Right. No, that is this box. It's the icon here that's just a filter. Notice when I clicked filter view, see how it now has this.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Where you can name it. Okay.
Yes. And I can change that. And then when I click the X, I'm out of that filter view and back into my regular sheet.
Okay. All right. So if we want to manipulate data but several people have access to that sheet. We probably need to do a filter view so that we don't filter for everybody. We only filter for ourselves.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Correct. And then you can save that filter view and name it, and then you can go in and look at those filters and choose. So you could say, you could name it as Jenna filter. And then that way other people can go in, look and see how you filtered it.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that part about it. That's awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You just click, once you've created it, then you save it. And then people can go back and look and see how you filtered it.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know they could see how I filtered it. I just knew that I could see how I filtered it.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
okay.
But that's if you save it. Yes.
Yeah. I like where you're doing that same kind of thing, where you showed them how to sort by one kind of criteria. If you go in that data and sort the range, you can kind of tell it and drill down, like choose the whole spreadsheet. And if you say sort the range, tell it has heteros, and you can say sort by class period, then last name, then teacher. I mean,
yeah,
you can do multiple like hierarchy in it, and that's super helpful. I do that quite a bit.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's in the data, sort range, and then you just keep adding additional sort columns. Is that what you're talking about, Selena?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, there's so much. There's so much you can do in Google Sheets that is what we were saying before. That it's hard to kind of talk about everything. So Jenna and Selena, thank you so much for popping in and adding those extra things. I really, really appreciate it. It's always helpful. Okay, so the next thing we're going to take a look at is conditional formatting. And this is another thing that is very useful as you're trying to analyze your data. So I can go in and let's say I only want to do this for my 3 assignment columns. I could do it for the whole sheet. I could do it just for one column. But I'm going to choose for what we're doing, I'm going to choose our assignment 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to go to Format, and I'm going to scroll all the way down, and what I want to choose is Conditional Formatting. When I open that up, I have some rules. And so I can add in different rules for what I want to happen in different columns, in the different cells. So for example, I want to see anybody who, and you'll see we have all sorts of options. The cell is empty, it's not empty, it has text, and it can be, the text is exactly. So if you're trying, if you're doing some sort of an activity and you want the answer to, the answer has to be this exact thing, you can conditional format so that the text is exactly that. For a date, greater than, less than, we're going to do is less than or equal to 60. If it's less than or equal to 60, or actually 69, then I want it to be this kind of reddish color. And then I click done. And then I can add another rule and say, okay, if the cell is greater than, is between, and I want it to be between 79 and 69, then I can change that to maybe be this orangey color. And then I could add another rule and say it's between, what did I do before? 79 and 69. So between 80 and 89. Yeah. And I want it to be yellow. And then I can do another one that is between 90 and 100. and I can make it green. And so then I can pretty quickly go through, oh, and I didn't do anything less than, I've got some grades in here that I didn't quite get. But I can go in here and see who is not doing well, who's a medium, you know, who's doing fairly well and who's doing really well just by looking at the colors of my text rules. So that conditional formatting is a great tool. I can do the same with dates. I want to see things that were turned in on a certain date. And so I can put that in conditional format for that as well. Or I'm looking for, you know, certain, like I said, certain text that I want, and then I can conditional format. So you have lots of different options within that conditional formatting, but it gives you a way to be able to look and visually be able to see what's going on with your data. Okay, the next.
But this is really great for ERG data. This is how she uses it. She uses it to sort for ERG data.
Absolutely.
Very helpful.
Absolutely. All right. The next thing I wanted to show you is inserting pictures, checkboxes, links, and charts. And so I'm going to start with pictures. So if I want to insert a picture into a cell, maybe at the, you know, I want to insert kids' pictures next to their names to help me remember their names, then I can, I mean, they've made it so easy. This is something that's fairly new. Insert image, and you insert it in the cell. You can also insert an image over the cells, which means you can then click and drag and move it around on the worksheet itself. Or you can put that image in the cell exactly. And actually, I can use my camera and do a nice smile and click insert. And there's my picture inserted into my sheet. So that's kind of neat. I mean, you could, if you wanted, you could bring different kids over and have them take a picture on the camera. And get a picture of them right there, or any picture. I actually, oh, and I think I closed it down on this computer, but I create a lot of badges. And so I have a spreadsheet that shows all the images of my badges so that I can go back and refer to those. So that's inserting a picture. You can also insert checkboxes and use your spreadsheet like a to-do list. So you can either choose the whole column, or you can choose a set of rows and go to insert, checkbox, and then you have checkboxes, and you could have your items in your to-do list. And then as you work through them, check it off. And then you can uncheck it and start over again. So this is something that I use this for a lot. I use another app for my to-do list as well, but when I have a to-do list that I want to share with other people, say in library services, we'll make a big list of all the things that different people can do, and we'll have what the task is and who's supposed to complete it in different columns, and then we can each check off when we have completed those items. So that is inserting checkboxes. Okay, to insert a link, you need to be aware that a link, you can only put one link in a cell at a time. So you can't have, say, a list of things and each one of those items have its own link. You have to do each one individually in its own cell. But to insert a link, you click inside you click the cell and then click link. And then you can, type in your link that you have and hit apply, and then it's linked. And then when people want to click on it, they mouse over it and then click on the link, and it takes them to that website. So that's inserting a link in a cell. Okay, and then a chart. So you can also insert a chart fairly easily. You need not just your numbers, but you also need at least a name or something else that goes along with it so that you have your X and your Y axis value. you select your data, and then you go to Insert Chart. When it decides to pop up finally, there we go. And there you have your chart. So you have each student's name and then their grade in this particular chart. Now, one thing I like to do with charts, and I'm actually going to go into a new cell, is and then I can do, is I like to make interactive charts. So, name, food, steak, ice cream, banana, just to kind of give us a few, hamburger, taco. Okay, so now I can go in and let's say I make this into a chart. Oh, why were you not happy with me? Come on. What in the world is it doing? I apologize. Normally this works beautifully.
It's the beauty of Google.
Yeah, exactly. Come on. Why are you not happy? For some reason, it doesn't think I have any information in here. When I create my chart, then it will, as students enter their information in, it will actually begin to chart it. And so it becomes, and I'm sorry, I don't know why it's not showing, but it becomes an interactive chart. So I could make this actually like a pie graph. Maybe it's because of the chart type I'm choosing here. Column 2 must be numeric. Oh, I bet it doesn't like the fact that I have student 1, student 2, student 3. I should have just put names in here. Let's see. Let's go back here. Let's see if I can do this instead. Steak, chicken, taco. Okay. 1, 4, 3. Now let's try this and see if it's a little bit happier with me. No. Okay. So when I have my chart, and then when students come in and let's say, oh no, we have 3 who want steak, or we have 7 who like chicken, we have only 1 who likes tacos, it will automatically change those the graph. And so I, in the past, have enjoyed putting up an interactive graph and having students go in, maybe use a Google form and have students vote on their favorite of something or do a poll, and then have your chart posted, and then students can see how that chart changes as they add in the new data, the new information for that. So that's one way that you can use a chart, insert a chart, and use that kind of as an interactive feature. And you can embed these in like a Google site. And when the students go in and put their data, it will show up on that Google site and be interactive on that as well. So that is inserting a chart. Okay. Yes.
They're impressed with the real-time feedback. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love doing those. And same with pie charts, work the same way. And the information will all change as people are entering their information. So it's a really neat way of doing that. Okay. So another feature that you can do is what's called a data validation, like a drop-down menu. So let's say that you have several options for students of that you want to be able to choose. So I can do data for this. I'm going to do data and then data validation. And this one, I want to show a drop-down list in a cell. Okay. And this is asking me to list from a range. I don't want to do that. I don't have anything already created. So instead, I'm going to choose a list of items. And then I need to enter my items. So let's say, I'm going to say, what's the best way that they like to be contacted? Email, phone, remind. I think those are really the three best. Okay, so then I choose save, and I can click and drag this down. And so then as I'm talking to parents or to anybody, and I say, well, what's the best way you like for me to contact you? Oh, I like you to use email. Okay, email. What's the best way you like? Oh, I like phone. Oh, I prefer remind. And so you can use that drop down to then show what the different choices are for students or for anything. I want a sack lunch, or I want I'm going to bring my lunch, or whatever kinds of options that you ever offer to students, and then you want to record that, you can do it with a drop-down menu. You can also do this so you create the sheet, and if your students are old enough and you trust them, that they go in and choose for themselves what option they want.
Hey, Emma, can you do the drop-down menu one? Can you show us one more time?
I sure can. I'm just going to go in and delete all of this. Okay, so let's see. So you select you can just be in one cell. You're going to go to data, then data validation. It's already going to show it as a drop-down list, but here in criteria, you want to choose list of items. And then save. Oh, sorry. Then you need to actually enter those items. And then click save. And then you have your drop down. And then if you need it for more than one cell, you simply click on that little blue box and drag it down. Okay. Questions?
I don't think so. They just wanted to see that again.
Okay, perfect. All right, so now here, I need to take that data validation off of this. Remove. Okay, now the next thing I want to show you is how to split text to columns. So sometimes when you bring in text over, say from Excel, you end up with something like this. You have the names of students and it's all together, but you really want them separate, like a first name in its own box and a last name in its own box. Because, you want to be able maybe to easily sort by student, by last name. So you can do this by clicking on your column and then going to data. And then you come all the way down. And one of your options is split text to columns. So then you can either have it detect how is the information being separated? Is it being separated by a comma, semicolon, period, or a space? So for us, you see that the first name and last name is separated by a space. So I'm going to put space. And now you see, oh, and I should have had another column ready for it. But now you see that it separated out my first name and my last name.
You just made my whole world tonight. Just with that.
So I'm going to do that one more time. Click on the column, data, scroll down, split text to columns. Choose how it's divided. For us, it's a space. And there you go. And then I can change this to first name and last name. Voila. And now I can sort by last name if I want to. And so that, again, makes it a little bit easier for me to see information. Okay. And it is 8:58. I feel so bad because I wasn't able to show you some things about formulas, but I will cover that in our next session. But I want to show you I'm going to show you one formula that is going to, I think, rock your world, hopefully. Every time you put a formula in, it has to start with an equal sign. That's just how formulas work. This one is called Sparkline. And all you do is type in Sparkline, and then you're going to hit, you do a parentheses, and then you select the grades or the data that you're wanting to graph and hit return. And it gives you, and then I can drag this down, and it gives you a very quick visual of how student grades are progressing or happening over time. And so it's kind of hard to see because we only have 3 assignments here, but you can kind of see that this student here tanked assignment number 2. So I can just do a quick look at this and see who do I need to go in and kind of take a quick look at to see how they're doing or what may be happening with them, to maybe find out why why our grades are doing this. Why do we start out kind of plateauing and then we steadily head down? Is there anything that could be causing that? So that is a Sparkline formula, and I'm going to end our session with that. If anybody has a quick question or two, and then I guess the next time I do Google Sheets, I'll do more and we'll actually head into formulas.
Y'all can unmute your mic if you have a question to ask. You don't have to type it in now that we're done. We're all pretty impressed with the Sparkline, though, Emma. You did. You blew our minds. That was pretty awesome.
I figured that one tends to make people go, what?
My face has been recorded. I can't help it.
As I hear them have to talk about like each child's individual growth and it's like that gives every child an individual graph that you can look at to see their growth. That's amazing. I love it.
Absolutely. Well, and think about this. You can also then filter for just that child and not have to get yourself out of your spreadsheet. They can't see anybody else because you're just filtering for them, but they can see their growth. They can see their grades and what that looks like. All right. Well, thank you so much for attending. I appreciate it. And I hope you all have a fantastic evening. And don't forget about those resources that are in the agenda that are also very helpful.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, Selena.